Advanced body scan saved my life. Was not overweight, don't smoke, eat healthy. My blood work was great, so I didn't think I needed it, but I figured, hey, I'm in my 50s and it might be a good idea. A couple weeks later, the radiologist called me, said, hey, everything looks great, but you got 2 issues you need to get checked out. One is you got a nodule in your thyroid and you have a nodule in your lung. It turned out that the thyroid did have cancer and the nodule in the lung was suspicious. The key to a body scan is early detection.
You just heard from Rick, who got his imaging from Advanced Bodies. He did everything we're supposed to do, went to yearly checkups and got blood screenings. Everything pointed to being healthy, but the scan showed he had cancer, as you just heard. Advanced Body Scan can find several issues early before symptoms show up or before they become deadly. Steve Marlar explains how the scan works to detect heart disease, cancer, hernias, and other diseases and health issues. Good morning.
Good morning on Medical Monday.
Yeah, good morning on a Medical Monday. You know, so many people, because we don't want to face it, something could be wrong, but we'll say, oh, I exercise and I eat right and nothing runs in my family. You've had plenty of people to walk into your office and say, thank you for this scan. If not for it, I would not be standing here right now.
Every day, Deborah. Most of the people that come in our office are asymptomatic. And some of them have family history, obviously, and so they want to get checked out. And it's amazing to me every day how many people we find that have early stages of deadly disease and no symptoms.
And that's where you want to get it, is in those early stages.
Absolutely. Early detection saves lives.
Yeah.
I mean, better outcomes almost every time if you find it early.
I mentioned earlier that, everybody in Great Day, all of our guests are very passionate about what they do, and oftentimes there's a life event that drives them to what they do. And for you, it was watching your mom deal with breast cancer that spread throughout her body. Had she had something like this, things could have been different.
Yes, and the guilt that I felt from feeling like I didn't do enough to find her cancer at an early stage is what drove me to be here where we are today. I knew that technology existed, but there was not enough impetus on the average person coming in and getting a scan.
Yeah, we do our yearly physicals. I know it's like, so you're feeling okay? Okay, we'll take your blood pressure, okay? And it's not that doctors aren't doing what they know to do or can do. They just don't have the level of information to work with. This scan gives them a whole nother layer to work with. And I'm going to talk about the blood test in just a second and what else you've learned. But walk us through how the body scan works.
So it's probably the simplest medical test you will ever take and one of the most sophisticated. You come in dressed as you are. You lay down on the table, you're going to go in and out of the machine a few times, and in less than 5 minutes you're finished. There's no needles, no dyes, nothing invasive. You can walk in and walk out. You don't have to have someone drive you home.
Yeah, and then your scan results you receive about 7 to 10 days.
Right. We have a board-certified radiologist that reads every scan that we do. So you will get a radiology report. You will also get a calcium score that shows you, based on percentiles, where you rank in that by age. And then you will also get a consult if needed with one of our medical professionals.
Yeah, you can have follow-up scans necessary. And you want people to do this in conjunction with their other doctors.
Sure. We never say don't do what you're doing. If you're doing regular checkups, if you're getting physicals, those pieces all go together. You mentioned it to me earlier today before we got to sit down. We look at the cause of the disease. We try to find it at an early stage, not mask the symptoms, which unfortunately a lot of times the way our payers are, we have to do that before we can actually get to the root of the cause.
Yeah, I know one of the people that came in and got a scan had gone to his doctor for his checkup, had some numbers that were elevated like blood pressure and things like that, and so the doctor sent him out the door with a few prescriptions. And then after he got his scan, he was able to take that information back to his doctor and showed where there were no real issues, and so the medicine was something that they really didn't have to take.
I will get off on a tangent here, but I've said no one's ever been low on blood thinners.
Yeah, right. All right, you're now offering a blood test which gives us even more information.
That's correct. I attended a symposium not long ago with several individuals, and we were asked to scan everyone in that group, and they were also going to have their blood done by another physician. And so at the end of that symposium, we had our findings from the scans. The other physician was going over everyone in the room. They'd agreed to let them hear the findings from the blood panel, and I was amazed at what I saw of all these findings in the blood panels, but it correlated to me. I realized at that time nothing I saw necessarily in those blood panels saw what I saw with all of these scans. We had seen blockages and aneurysms and early detection of some cancers, but yet sometimes in the blood panels, if they're not the right ones, they don't necessarily correlate back. That's why we've decided there's a metabolic side to this, beyond just the physical things that we see in the body. So we've worked together to put those now. You get the physical scan as well as the metabolic panels.
Yeah, you mentioned aneurysm, and a lot of people know I had a brain aneurysm that had actually burst. And if I had a scan like this back at that time, I'm sure we would have seen it, right? The ballooning of that vessel there. I was one of the blessed ones who survived, but so
Very
many
lucky.
people don't. But if you can catch it in time, and these are the types of things that these scans will see. But I can't tell you how many people have said, I'm not sure if I want to know. When you are struggling, I can tell you right now, I have a lot of folks who went through it and said if they could have caught it earlier, if they had just known, they would do that for
I
sure.
hear it daily, and my response is, why wouldn't you want to know?
Yeah.
Because we have the technology, we have the finest medical system, and especially right here in Houston, Texas, there is. So if you can find it early enough, they can get you care, and most 9 times out of 10 solve the problem a lot easier than you would if it's burst.
Yeah, I talked to a family that was sitting down to do some family planning, and one of the things they were looking at was their life insurance policy, and they were putting so much detail in it, which understandably, because there are all kinds of things that can get you, right? But I said, what about as part of your family plan that you get this scan so you know what really could be coming around the corner that you can stop, and you won't have to cash in that life insurance policy quite so soon.
Absolutely. Now combining it with the metabolic panels that we're doing on the blood test, it's a full picture. We get to see not only what's going on in blood counts and lipids and other things that are included in this panel, but we actually get the physical screening to look for nodules in the lung, blockages in the vessels around the heart.
Yeah, this is really longevity medicine, isn't it, at the end of the day?
That's exactly right.
Because if we know what's coming and we can block it or get rid of it, then it just basically extends our life. Okay, so you have that combination of body scan and blood test that we said gives more of the full picture. How often would somebody do something like this?
We recommend doing it annually. As a matter of fact, when you come in, we're going to do a consultation, talk about your past family history, and show you a lot of the other scans that we do as well. We're a full blown medical imaging center. We have MR, CT, X-ray, ultrasound. We can do all of the contrast type scans if needed. And if we find something in our scan, we have the follow-up abilities to get that scan done.
So almost anybody can use this as basically their physical, but who in particular do you say run, don't walk?
If you've had family history, or if you haven't taken good care of yourself in your first 30 or 40 years, you definitely need to have this scan, and our statistics prove it. It's a high probability. We did a study a couple of years ago, 1 month, we saw about 80% of the people that came through the door that had some finding. It might have been as simple as a low calcium score, but again, they were all asymptomatic people, and it's just shocking how many people have findings.
And especially if you have one of those things like diabetes, we know is the #1 reason for heart attack, #1 reason for renal failure, for kidney disease, blindness. You can take your medicine and your numbers can look good for you, but you don't know what damage has been done inside, especially if you have one of those comorbidities, also to come in and see what kind of damage that disease has already done. Steve, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dick.
Yeah, I can say that I went and got it done, and for me, it gave me great peace of mind.